It says the blood of the willing goes...
You gotta be kidding me!
Today, Diablo's official Twitter account gave the community an update, saying Diablo development is still on track during quarantine measures and wishing the community health and safety. As do I. Stay safe, fellow lore junkies. They also happened to release the first official image of a scene in Diablo 4 showcasing an unknown man performing what appears to be a sacrificial ritual / summoning and seems to closely mirror the summoning of Lilith first seen in the opening cinematic of Diablo 4.
Lilith.
And more importantly, behind the pictured mystery man, we get but a glimpse of the first official images appearing to be the three greater evils, Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal in the background. So I'm here to break down everything in the image as it's honestly peppered with a ton of cryptic clues for Diablo 4's storyline, callbacks to the Sin War, and how we will likely witness the summoning of Diablo and his brothers back to Sanctuary.
The dream continues to haunt me, old friend. It always starts with a journey to a distant land.
Summoning symbol deciphered. If we focus first on location by looking at the details of the interior of this temple in the image versus Lilith's own summoning in the opening cinematic, it is clear that this temple is 1. Sacrificial in nature, 2. With a man standing over a body on an altar, and we will discuss his possible identity and affiliation later in the video, and girt by 3 distinct triune statues of the 3 prime evils, which puts this as one of the various triune temples around the age of the Sin Wars. Maybe the triune temple of Istani, Taraja, or under the destroyed Grand Temple, perhaps rebuilt in Khajan to the east. More important than one of the various locations, however, and the sacrifice itself, is the particularly ominous summoning symbol that we have spied before, as there are many clues as to what this actually represents, thanks to the Sin War books and the original opening cinematic of Lilith's own summoning temple. Consider the following. The symbol burnt onto the stairs in front of the altar lines up with 3 other symbols from the original cinematic, and I believe is the key to all summoning in Diablo. Image 1 and 2 seen on screen pulled from Lilith's cinematic from outside at the Hermetic key used to unlock the door, with a sacrifice of the 3 willing being the 2 looters and the hapless scholar. The third image is from inside Lilith's summoning room itself on the pillars. Now clearly, this symbol, especially the figure in the middle, is key to summoning, but there are 2 factors that are both very different and important. Number 1 is the summoning seal. Lilith's is circular, containing a few additional runes, likely extra words of power needed to break the seal between Sanctuary and the Void, which were spoken at the behest of the summoner by the scholar at the culmination of Lilith's summoning. The tweet image is instead triangular on the outside, with a few additional markings, likely because given the location of the altar, it's a tad closer to the source of the summoning's target or targets. Also, it gifts us the ability to perhaps read what is required in each symbol. At the bottom appears to be a human sacrifice, swallowed by the pincer-shaped legs of what we can assume is the demon represented by the consistent characters in the middle. Lilith's sacrifice, we know, needed 3 willing victims, and the verse, which are represented as the words written around the demon character, are present, and speaking them is symbolized by the 3 wavy lines. So if we use the same format for deciphering the presumably prime evil symbol of Triune, number 1, the sacrifice is the same, it's a human at the bottom. 2, the demon is also very similar in shape and size. 3, the third becomes trickier. There are no runes or words to read therein, nor are there wavy lines of something to be spoken. Instead, we see fire licking its way into the triune symbol, and what seems to be a beam directly shooting into the demon's head. Whether this is a power source required, an artifact, a lunar cycle as a throwback to Diablo 1's cut map of the Stars quest, heck, you may need to fall an angel from the sky again, and that's Tyrael sitting on the slab about to be prime eviled. No, he's probably way too big even as a mortal. The possibilities, however, are endless, and the reading of these runes now is hopefully somewhat more uniform. It goes to note that the symbol of the triune looks awfully similar. Triangles, of course, bear 3 distinct sides. Now, I promise I'm going somewhere with this, 3 being a recurring number that is sacred to the Triune. And as a refresher, let's look at the Triune, history, and resurgence.
What I saw then was not meant for mortal eyes.
The gate stands ready.
For a brief history update on the Triune, the Temple of Triune, also known as the Cult of the Three or Cult of the Triune, was a cult that existed during the time of the Sin War. Outwardly, it had a benevolent religious body, with the greater evils representing the inverse of their true aspects, such as Diablo representing determination versus terror, Mephisto representing love instead of hate, and Baal forgoing his favorite thing, destruction, and pretending to be the aspect of creation. The reality was the Triune was a hollow front, formed by the primevals in efforts to convert humanity to their side. And although outwardly appearing benevolent, as you delve deeper into their religion, whether the temples scattered around Sanctuary, which I believe we're looking at in this picture, or the religious leader hierarchy itself, inevitably its foundation of evil became more prevalent and the true intent was undeniable the deeper you went. Mephisto's son, Lucian, was one of the main figureheads of the religion, or Primus. However, when he was later literally wiped from existence by the Nephilim Uldyssian, Lilith then masqueraded as her brother Lucian and attempted to overthrow the Triune. Lilith also worked to destroy the Cathedral of Light, which was helmed by her one-time lover and co-progenitor of the Nephilim and humanity, the angel Anarius. After the Sin War ended and Lilith was banished to the Void, Heaven and Hell famously made an accord to stay out of the affairs of Sanctuary, and although their grand temple fell, some of their lesser temples remained. Later, the Triune would actually splinter into different factions, and notably the Coven, which Adria the Witch was a part of, to which she said in the Book of Adria directly, "We were once the cult of Triune, servants of the 3 primevals, Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal. Now, we are the Coven, a gathering of lost souls seeking our destiny in the fires of eternal conflict."
This destruction. What is the sword to you?
To me, nothing. To my master, Belial, everything.
There I find a city in flames. Streets choked with corpses. Unthinkable destruction. I witness senseless slaughter. Brother against brother. Pure hatred.
Evil's new/old face. Now, prevalent in the temples were statues similar to the ones behind the man at the altar, which represent the 3 primevals, with very likely Diablo in the dead center, girt by his brothers Mephisto and Baal, assuming those are statues versus literal apparitions/giant returning flaming forms of the evils, as their placing looks similar to statues in the Cult of Personality. Also, why would the evils look more human and different to their supposedly true forms we've seen before? There are a few reasons. The first is the developers have their own artistic take on the evils in each game. The second is every host of the evils has an effect on their appearance versus their natural state. The third is the Triune's inner sanctums being, of course, used to worship the true visages of the primevals, pre-soul stones and inhabiting bodies. They were detailed as being far more sinister, hellish even, than the exterior corridors, and for obvious reasons. They wouldn't want all that good moral intent to be accompanied by such vile imagery. Whether or not this is either in the Burning Hells, supposedly closed off at the time of the High Heavens, or possibly in a ruined area of the Triune's old temples destroyed by the Edrim during the Sin Wars, is still debatable. But again, given the location and other factors, this could be a summoning, either in the name of the primevals, or again, preparing a vessel to be inhabited by a primeval. Though if the former, which vessel would be chosen? Will it be similar to Blood of the Three, or far more sinister in nature to bring forth the evils themselves? If it is a sacrifice, who is the vessel and what relation do they have to Diablo? And will we finally see an evil Nephilim? In regards to the man on the stairs performing the sacrifice, they do not initially appear to be dressed as one of the members of Lilith's new Cult of Personality, or at least match up with what we've seen in concept art. If we look at the color scheme of the robes of the man who is standing over an unknown naked body, no doubt a sacrificial victim, his robes are dark and different to Lilith's cultists who sport blood red garbs. Also notable is that Lilith's own temples sport their own unique grotesque statues behind said cultists, cultists that do not appear to worship the three, which of course we just covered. Although very pixelated, if you do zoom in closer, you can see the man is wearing a mask, like the cult of personality attendees, and maybe dressed differently in black as he is somebody of great import. He does not appear to be the same summoner we saw in the opening cinematic due to a height disparity and different clothing, though very similar. So the man in the mask, who is yet to be named, is a figure that leads me to think he's either somebody important in the cult of personality, or he could be a fanatical cultist of the Triune or the Three.
And then, executions, agony, suffering surrounded me until my turn comes. They burn my eyes, break my bones. I awaken in terror. There's no one left to stand against them.
Covered a lot of ground, from location to who is summoning / sacrificing, and the mystery of the statues of the greater evils and their relation to summoning and Lilith. This could potentially confirm 5 of the 7 evils on Sanctuary. Previously, the developers had confirmed Duriel and Andariel already walked Sanctuary again, unbound from the Primeval, as we'd seen the Primeval freed from the Black Soulstone at the end of Reaper of Souls, yet still entwined as the Primeval. So somehow they've come loose, and maybe Andariel and Duriel were either released from the void, or a summoning had occurred pre-Diablo, Baal and Mephisto, and also Belial and Asmodam. There's no official word on them yet, however this is potentially a huge piece of information. The developers had really been stalwart about saying that Lilith was the main antagonist of Diablo 4 and to just set your sights on her, as everybody asked questions about Diablo and his brothers, wondering, is it a Diablo game without Diablo himself? And this is pretty damning evidence that they're going back to old school summoning like Diablo 1, where sacrifices such as Ulbricht were made, and that we're going to see the primevals and cults be pervasive in the world of Sanctuary. But what did you think of the video? Is there anything I missed? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to see more content like this. It really helps out the channel, and a huge shout out to my Diablo lore community on Discord, which is linked in the description if you want to chat lore and run with a great community in Diablo 4. Head on over and become a lore junkie with us. All are welcome. A special thank you to member Tales of the Blade, whose unparalleled knowledge helped identify the bulk of the symbols and imagery, and direct ties to the Sin War books referenced in this video and are linked below, as Blizzard are re-releasing them as legends, which definitely are invaluable tomes of forbidden knowledge before you play Diablo 4. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, Traveler.